All right, so we're just gonna start.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. You good? Yeah. All right. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Joshua, for joining us virtually. Really appreciate it. Um, so the first thing that I want to get started with is actually, why don't we just wait till he comes back?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have another guy who's on the phone call right now. Give me a second. Okay, so um, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate your time. This is a project that I'm starting. This is going to be a 5-course project. So I'm teaching about several different topics throughout these 5 courses. And the purpose of this is actually to teach people how to buy their first property within the first 2 years. The reason for that is because I personally have like I'm a 20 when I purchased my first property at 21. A lot of you guys already know that, and so it's actually my belief that through buying real estate we can actually help people get out of poverty, and so but I have a couple of rules that I have set up so that everybody could know about them. Rule number one is actually I want everybody here to understand that we're all at different levels in understanding and experiences. Do not look down on a question or a statement. It's important to educate. Information is the most valuable commodity in the world. Your experience is more valuable than this actual course. So the fact that you guys are here brings more value than the fact that I'm here. All right. Um, Keeping a positive attitude while looking at your current difficulties, and that we will overcome them together. This is a judgment-free zone. Everything that you guys say will stay here, and you're not obligated to share any personal information. And everything that I'm teaching is based on personal experience and also information that I have gathered. Um, but without further ado, let's start. So the first thing that I want to tell everybody, the fact that you guys are here, is if you come and you finish all the 5 courses, I have an expectation rate of a 90% success rate, meaning that if you come, you take the classes, and we do all the plans that we have set up, we can actually get somebody to buy their first property or the second property, and in some cases, the 7th property, within the next 2 years. And so that's an expectation that I have. You're not obligated to come to any of the classes. I'm just saying that if you do come and you finish all of the classes together, then we would be able to have this goal. This is a personal goal that I have. I just want to remind all of you guys that this is the first time that this course is being done by me. And so your feedback is super important. Like what you guys tell me that you guys want to learn is super important. Do we have a thumbs up, Joshua? So we're actually going to start off with poverty. The reason why I started this whole course is building wealth through real estate. And the reason for this is because we need to start first understanding what wealth is, how to acquire it, and what does that mean for our lives. Give me a second. Thumbs up, awesome. So what does wealth means for our lives, and how can building wealth actually change us in the future? Not only for us, but also for our children, because both poverty and wealth can be passed down to your children. And so it's important that we understand this, and that we look at these two different things, and we're going to look at it right now. So poverty. So if you guys were to Google poverty or the definition of poverty, it's actually defined by 2 things. Number one, which is not meeting So the first one is actually, huh? The first one is actually not being able to meet your basic needs. And this means basically it includes shelter, it includes clothing, and it includes food. So if you're not being able to meet these basic needs, then you're basically considered in poverty. And the second thing is actually valuable possessions. So let's say that you are being able to meet all your basic needs by, I don't know, the grace of God, right? But you still don't have any valuable possessions, you're still considered under poverty. And these go correlated, all right? So the second one is all right, so possession of value. And this becomes very important as we continue to look to understand why, because you can build wealth through many different options. Why did I choose real estate? It's very important, and I'm going to show you guys through all of this why real estate might be the most suitable form of way for you guys to build wealth and transfer wealth to your children. All right. So wealth. Wealth is actually defined. Go ahead. Question. Can you give an example for possessions of value? Yes, very good question. So Joshua, they just asked, what is an example of a valuable possession? A valuable possession can be anything from jewelry, cars, anything that you own that you can say that belongs to you. You don't have any. You don't necessarily. It could be that you have debt on it, but the debt is worth more than the actual, like the value is worth more than the actual debt. That could be considered as a personal value. Again, jewelry. What else? It could be property. It could be clothing, such as a Gucci belt. You know, you can go and sell that again in the market. It can be basically anything that you can anything that belongs to you that you can sell that is worth any money. And you know, we are, and I want to just mention this. You know, I'm grateful at the fact that we live in this country because a lot of us are able to avoid a lot of these things. A lot of us, you know, thank God we have a place to call home, and we do have, you know, possessions of value. And so wealth. So wealth is actually defined by possessions of value that could be either yours or within the family. And so this is very important. Why within a family? The reason for this is because most people who think about wealth, they think long term. They think, well, what can I build or what can I gain to make sure that my kids are okay or that my grandkids are okay? You understand? And so the value of the wealth of the family comes all together. Have you guys ever heard of the Rothschilds? So the Rothschilds are one of the most wealthiest families in the planet, actually. They've been around since, like, I don't know, probably like the 1400s. Yeah. And they have just been able to build tremendous amount of wealth through paintings. Paintings is a good way to build wealth because it usually goes up in value. Properties, they own castles, they own lands, they own forests, they own all sorts of things. A lot of antiques like porcelain dolls, crystal, and again, jewelry and all of these things. So I'm just going to jot this down. So remember, wealth is all about family and also personal possessions. All right. How we looking, Joshua? We good? Let me know if this is not, this is, I know this is hard to read. So here we have family, jewelries, properties, and other possessions. Let me know if you have any questions, all right? So now we're gonna go to our net worth, right? And this is very important. Why? Because again, most people who think about wealth, they don't think about how much money I'm making a month. They don't think about how much money I'm making a year. They think about how much am I worth in general. You understand? And so that's a mindset that we're not taught since we were kids. We're never taught, all right, listen, the value, you have a value, right? And that value goes up depending on how much possessions you have and other things. And so the way we figure out net worth, we when we think about net worth, we usually think about multimillionaires, billionaires, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, etc. And the way that is all, the way that this is determined is your assets minus your debt. All right? Is that correct? Good. Just making sure. We have a financial advisor in the house, so everything good so far. All right, thanks, bro. So assets minus debt. This is how we determine your net worth. And so assets could be it's usually anything that brings up value or brings you money. A stock could be an asset if you're not losing money out of it. Properties, again, if you're not losing money on it. And so minus the debt, that's your net worth. And so this whole project is actually, I want to start so for you guys that are here, if you guys continue with me, we're going to be looking at what our net worth is. And I'm going to show you guys how we could potentially bring up your net worth by, let's say, $40,000 to $80,000 within the next 15 to 20 years. All right. And I'm going to show you guys how that can be done. All right. And now that we're mentioning debt, I want to actually talk a little bit about the next couple of classes that are coming up. The first one, we're going to be looking at poverty and negative net worth. The second one, we're going to be looking at debt. The third one, we're going to be looking at credit. The fourth, we're going to be looking at financing, how we can use financing to purchase properties. And also the fifth class, we're going to be writing, between us, we're all going to be sitting down and we're going to be jotting down a 2-year goal, right? And a part of the 2-year goal could be, raising up your credit score. It could be making sure that you get a better financial job. It could be making sure that you buy a house within the next 2 years. It could be anything that has to do within the class, understand? And I'm going to be providing personal mentorship for people who are willing to do it, so that we can, bump this up. And again, this is all the first class, and so we're going to be doing this again and again and again with different people, and I have really high expectations for everybody. All right. So now we're going to look at poverty versus the poverty mindset. Okay, this is probably one of the most important things in this whole class. The reason for that is because you might think, okay, well, I'm earning $35,000 a year, right? And even though I'm able to meet my basic needs, I have shelter, I have food, I have clothing, I might also have some personal value, personal possessions that are worth money, but I'm still broke. That's a problem that we all go, right? And the reason for this is because there's two different things. One is poverty. Are you currently in poverty? Most of us who are here in the room, including you, my brother Joshua, we're not poor, right? But we might have a poverty mindset. And so what is a poverty mindset? A poverty mindset might be a mindset of scarcity, meaning that there's not enough. It might be a poverty mindset can also be influenced by fear. Fear to taking the next step. A poverty mindset could be a lack of information. This is why all of this is being brought to you so that you have the information that maybe a large majority of people in the United States might not have. And so as we continue to do this, this is being recorded and everything else, and we're going to be hopefully publishing this online so that other people can also get the information. And so we're going to be taking a look at poverty mindset in different ways, including that, okay? So now that we have that covered, one of the things that I've actually brought here is a 10% envelope. As you can see in front of you guys have a 10%. Can I see that? All right, bro. So since you're virtual, I'm going to be sending this to you, okay? All right? And I'm going to explain to you like why I created this and why this is super important for you to use as we continue, through these goals, all right? So the reason why I actually created a 10% envelope is this is inspired by The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a book. And, personally, it changed my life. Once I read it, I was introduced by it by a friend of mine who told me, look, you cannot, you have very minimal chance of becoming a millionaire if you have not read this book. I'm like, really? Is that serious? So, so once I read it, I understood what was the purpose of it. The reason why I have a 10% envelope is because I want you guys to start paying yourself first before paying your bills. You understand? ¿Usted me está entendiendo, tía? ¿Estamos bien? Okay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and delete some of this. Josh, the whole purpose of the envelope is for you to put in cash into this envelope, all right? And so the 10%, let's say that, I don't know, that you earn $1,000 per month, right? So 10% out of that is, what is it, 100? $100. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you make $1,000 a month, right? Now that's really low. That's actually below poverty. Most of us here probably make above that. If you're able to take, what I want you to do is, I want you to take out of those $1,000 before you pay your bills. And now you might say, hey, Joel, I don't even have enough money to pay my bills now. Why would I take out money to, put in an envelope when I could just use it to pay down my bills? I'm going to explain this. The reason for this is because we are doing $1,000 and we are taking out $100. Now, this $100 is going to go inside of the envelope, not to be touched. Understood? That money is specifically for investments. I want you to use that money so that whenever you get an opportunity to make an investment, that money is already sitting there, all right? I was just talking to some people today, and they call it zombie money. So whenever they have any cash or they get paid in cash, they'll put it inside of the envelope, and they just keep storing it away, and it just keeps adding and adding and adding and adding. Next thing you know, you have a large sum of cash inside of an envelope inside of your house. So we all know about Murphy's Law. Everybody know about Murphy's Law? So there's something called Murphy's Law, which means that anything bad could potentially happen. And so you want to be prepared for this, right? There's a large percentage, I don't have the exact statistic on it, but there's a large percentage of people in the United States right now that cannot meet a $500 emergency without using a credit card, all right? And that's a problem. That's a big problem, not only for us, but for the United States. This needs to change. And so this is why everybody's getting a 10% envelope. As we continue to follow along with these goals that we're going to create, I'm going to be keeping track of this, making sure that not only you, but myself, and I want you guys to hold me accountable for it as well, making sure that this money is put into place. So now we're going into the bread and butter, of the whole class. All right. Now, thanks the fact that you guys made it here today. You guys are actually getting a financial literacy book, not a financial literacy book. You guys, I am buying a book for you guys to keep. And this is specifically for business ideas. This book is for you to make sure that whenever you have a good idea on making extra cash, any businesses that you might think are possible, I want you guys to write it down. Joshua, I'm gonna be mailing it out to you, and so the rest of you guys, if you guys come to the next class, you'll be handed one with a book. All right. So now we're gonna go into looking at some net worth and what this could potentially mean for you and for your family. Okay. And the reason for this is because a lot of people might think that the fact that they don't have any money or they don't have any debt, like that might be a bad thing. Well, the fact that you don't have any debt is a good thing. Why? Because you're starting off at zero, right? The large majority of people in the United States, I've actually made this chart right here. The large majority of people by the age of 35, they have on average $64,000 in debt, on average, right? So that means that in reality, they come down into the negative side of this chart, understand? So on average, they'll be somewhere along this line. This is average. And this is including student loans. It could be houses. It could be many things, right? And as I explain this to you guys, I'm going to also share some of my personal debt that I have acquired through some of the properties, because I want to show you guys what this looks like, all right? So now, for the majority of people start off at zero, right? Somewhere between zero. So I put it here that, we start off at 20 years old. Most of us don't have any debt before 20, but you could if you get into the credit card debts and things like that, right? So what does it look like as you get older? Remember, we're all gonna reach this point right here. We're all gonna reach this point at 55 years old. How much do you wanna be worth by the age of 55? And I'm actually gonna take this time to ask you guys, since I've been talking a lot, why don't you guys share with the class? Joshua, you can go ahead and share. How much do you wanna be worth by the age of 55? You guys ever thought about it? How about yourself, bro?
At least, I'd say like 5 to 10.
5 to 10 million? That's a good number. All right. ¿Cuánto usted quiere que su valor, cuánto quiere que sea su valor cuando usted tenga la edad de 55? $2 millones. Okay, so we have 2 million. How about yourself? We got 10 million.
I would be okay with
5 million? $5 million by the age of 55. It's a good number. I like that. Josh, are you still with us? Let me know if you're still with us, bro. I want to know how much you want to be worth by the age of 55. So, actually, my personal number is actually 248.
That's 148
million.
That's very specific. 48.
That's
248, 258. Right? Family. We talking family. Right?
yeah.
Right?
1 million by the age of 30.
Hey, go ahead, bro.
1 million by the age of 30.
1 million by the age of 30. Wow, that's a tough one, man. All right, I like that number.
How old is he?
He's 20. How old are you, bro? 24, 25? I think he's 24. I think he's like
I'm
a year
20
younger than me.
24.
Yeah, he's 24. So give me a number by the age of 55. Don't give me 30. Because you only got 5 years.
That's a long way. Let's see. Every year, want to grow by 5. At least 1 billion.
At least $1 million, right? By the age of 55?
With a B. Billion. Billion.
$1 billion by the age of 55. You see? We got we're playing a small game compared to this guy. All right. So now we're going to look at, now that we have established how much we want to be worth, we're going to look at how we can accomplish that, okay? And one thing that I want to bring up is I'm gonna bring up the value of renting versus owning, okay? Now I'm gonna show you this right here, and we're gonna finish with that. We're gonna finish the class with that. But before we get there, actually, we'll do it right now because it's important for you to understand this, and I'm gonna show you that right now. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we have 2 different people, right? And both of these people, they're looking for a property for the next 15 years, right? One of them is gonna rent, the other one is gonna own, all right? So we have Bob, who's gonna be renting, okay? Bob is renting, and Joe is buying, okay? So Bob has a, yeah, do you mind looking through my phone? Sorry about that, Josh. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that Joe gets an $80,000 mortgage, right? $80,000 in mortgage, right? So now we are gonna place Joe right here between the 75 and the $100,000 in debt, right? And let's just say that Joe is 20 years old, right? So we place him right here. We place Joe at 75, negative 75, because Joe just took out a loan for $80,000, okay? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Bob, on the other hand, doesn't have any debt because he rents, right? So Bob is 20 years old, but he's starting off at 0. We're all with me here, right? So now let's just say that, hypothetically speaking, they both are paying $750, right? Now, on an $80,000 loan plus the escrow, you would be paying around that range, right? So let's say $750. Both are going to be doing this for 15 years, okay? So can somebody pull out a calculator for me? Do me a favor, 750 times 15. It's 135.
Is it 750 times?
750.
11,250.
No, but you have to calculate it by 12. No.
Yeah, if you do 12 and then 15.
750 times 12 times
180 times 750. Trying to calculate all of it.
Mm-hmm. So it's 750 times 12 times 15.
135.
135,000. All right, Josh. So we have Bob, and sorry for the blurriness, man. Bob is getting an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment, anywhere, right? For the next 15 years. And Joe is getting a house, which he now has a debt for $80,000, and he's putting that debt on a 15-year mortgage, okay? So by the time that Bob ends up his 15 years, Bob has paid $135,000 in cash, right? Go ahead. Right, and so another thing is that the minimum that the rent can rise is 5% per year. Now, in this scenario, we've let the rent on its own, okay? And so in comparisons to these two, even though Bob might pay more because of interest rates, because he also has to pay utilities and including water, taxes, and other things, at the end of the 15 years, Bob doesn't own anything because he's always been renting. At the end of the 15 years for Joe, Joe now has a property that is worth minimum $80,000. Okay? So now, why is this important? The reason why this is important is because of this. Time, we live in a linear timeline, right? So time is always going to go forward. Bob got into a debt for $85,000. In 15 years, that means that 25, 30, 35, his value, if he's already paid all of his mortgage, the value of the home stays the same, right? Now his net worth is at 80 grand by the age of 35. You understand? And this is just following a very simple mechanism, which is like getting a mortgage for 15 years in comparison to Bob, who also, even though he doesn't have any debt, but he's still at zero. He's still at zero after 15 years. So this is why I believe that, through buying real estate, we can actually build, wealth for a long time. So now let's go back to some of the basics, right? What was poverty? Poverty is the fact that you cannot meet some of the basic needs, such as shelter, right? So now, in 15 years, Joe not only has increased his net worth by $80,000, he no longer has to pay every month for shelter, right? The only thing that he has to pay now is making sure that his utilities are paid and his taxes are paid. That's it, right? So let's just say that both of these individuals both had a $25,000 job, right? So now all of that money that was going in for Joe into the mortgage just goes right into his pocket every month. But Bob, on the other hand, doesn't have any property, so he's stuck. And he's probably going to rent because his 15 years lease is up, right? So now rent has gone up. He has to find a new apartment. He's probably going to have to find an apartment which is the same size for maybe $1,000. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is so important for people to understand and make sure that, I'm not saying that like some people might have different goals. Some people might want to become millionaires, other people might not, but this can accomplish a lot in your life. It can, give you a sense of security that you might not have before, only in 15 years, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you don't feel like taking a 15-year loan, right? Let's put on a 30-year. Right now, Josh, you're 24 years old. 30 years from now, you'll be 54. That's still young. You know what I'm saying? That's 54 years old, right? Right before this, man. Right before the 55-year mark. Maybe you didn't reach your $1 billion, but you're now worth $80,000. So it's very important for us to understand that. Any questions?
Makes sense.
Make sense? Perfect. So now that we have looked into all of this, this is what time is it? 6:40, 6:46. So this is actually the first class that this is the end of the class, basically. The reason why I wanted to bring all of these things, including poverty, debt, wealth, giving you guys examples on what it looks like for 15 years is because 15 years is gonna pass regardless, right? So what are you gonna do about it? This is where I'm coming in and I'm telling you, all right, let's set up a plan for the next 2 years, right? So that we can have you guys purchase a home or whatever it might be, and then we can, just move forward from there. How does that sound?
Next class.
And so the next class is going to be about that. Understanding that, I'm hoping to have it on the 20th. The 20th of November, everybody's invited. You know what? You guys are more than welcome to bring up people in as well. Yeah, because I was going to close this class. I was going to close the next class for the people who came in today. But I think we just might as well just have it open for everybody. Yeah. And so anybody can come. You're more than willing to bring people in. And next class, we're going to be looking at how you can use debt and other people's money to make sure that you build your network. All right? Thank you so much for your time, people. Thank you for joining us. Peace out.